Hello and welcome to some bad lighting because we have a storm outside. So I'm going to do my best to get through this video and hoping the lighting is okay. But we are doing our April wrap up. So let's get to April, shall we? Some of my pages are sticking together. So here is my April spread. And then here are the books that we read in April. I have not done all of the math, so future me will have to do that. But in the month of April, we read 19 books. I have not added up the total amount of pages, so I'll do that later. In my average rating, I did not add it up, so here it is. Our genre breakdown, I read 8 romance, 9 fantasy, 1 thriller/horror, 1 YA, and then I had 1 DNF. So let's just get into the books. I'm going to try to explain these the best I can. Y'all know I'm not that great at explaining. But the first book we read in April was Keep Me by Sarah Kate. This is set in Scotland and we are following our main character Killian and Sylvie. And we start off by Sylvie breaking into his house because she is helping her ex-boyfriend with something. And then all of a sudden his sister shows up back in New York and was like, hey, I need you to come marry my brother. So we are dealing with contract, like marriage of convenience, and it's very, very good. I really enjoyed it. It's very much grumpy sunshine. There is a little bit of like schmink, so to say, but I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed this and I highly recommend. If you've read Sarah Kate's books in the past, you know that they're more smut than plot, but this one is a lot more plot than smut, so I highly recommend it. And it was so good. And if you don't know, or if you do know, I love Scotland. It is somewhere that I want to visit very badly, so yeah. And then we read Glow of the Everflame. This is book 2 in the Kindred's Curse saga series. Once again, we are following Dia, and she lives in a world that is split by mortals and the Fae. I forget what they call the Fae. But anyway. So this starts off where book 2 ended. I can't really tell you a whole lot about this because I don't want to spoil it. But we are following Dia, and in the first one her mother disappears and she is kind of trying to figure out what happened to her mother. She's a healer and there is a rebellion going on trying to throw the Fae because they like the Fae throne because they kind of control everything, and humans are really not liked, and you can tell people apart. Humans have brown hair and brown eyes, and the Fae have different colored eyes, so you can kind of tell what court they're from based on eye color. So yes, we have a shadow daddy in here. We have all kinds of stuff. The way this ended, I'm very excited to see where this series goes. There is going to be 4 books in this series. Oh, I gave this 5 stars. There is going to be 4 books in this series. There are 3 out so far. I think book 4 was rumored to be this year, but I think it has been pushed to next year. So I am very much going to take my time jumping into book 3 because I've heard that one ends on a big cliffhanger, and you know I don't do good with cliffhangers, but very much recommend this series. It is very slow burn, so if slow burn is something you're into, I highly recommend. Then we read Mr. Magic by Kirsten White, and I read this in one sitting. I could not put this down. We are following our main character. What is her name? I'm terrible with remembering character names. I can remember synopsis, but I can never remember names. But anyway, so 30 years ago, Val was a part of this TV show called Mr. Magic. And she has no memory of this time in her life. If you try to look up the show online, there is no video evidence that this show ever existed. You try to make a website where you're following like a where are they now for the cast members, and the website disappears within 24 hours. There is absolutely no evidence that this show ever existed, except for it had a cult following. People remember watching it, and you have people that remember being on it. It was so freaking good. Like, I had no idea where it was going to go. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. There is mixed reviews on this. It's not going to be for everybody, but it was for me. I gave this 4.5 stars. Then we read American Prince by Sierra Simone. This is book 2 in the New Camelot. Is this the New Camelot series? Yeah, the New Camelot series. Basically, this is just a story about the president, vice president, and first lady being in a relationship together. There is a past. Book 1 is more smut than plot, and the plot kind of kicks in at the end. We've got war. We've got, oh, it's good. It's good. I gave it 4 stars. There's really not a way to like really describe this except for it's a throuple and it's Sierra Simone. So if you've read her books, if you know, you know. Then on a whim, I read How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly, and this book really surprised me. At first, in the beginning, I was like, okay, where is this going? Because there were some parts that I was like, that's a little cringe. But we're following our main character, Callie, and she is a biologist. She is a biologist, and she is in this little small, like, rural town, and she is following, and I've figured out why there's moths all over the cover, because she is following this breed of moth and studying them because they are like endangered or going extinct, and she's like following them, following like their migration habits and everything. And one night she ends up falling through a face circle, and falls into the Fae world, and we follow her from there. It is really good. The ending, I was like, what in the world? I gave this 4.5 stars. Yeah, I'm excited to carry on with the series and see where this goes. This was a reread for me, but yeah, we read Credence. I loved everything about this except for Uncle Jake, and I know that's like a theme with most people, is Uncle Jake gives them the creeps. But we are following our main character, Tiernan, and her parents have passed, and she ends up moving to this mountain. Is it in Colorado? Yeah, Colorado. They live up in the mountains. Her step uncle and step cousin, so there is no blood relation, but they get snowed in up there, and things begin to happen. And yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. This book is definitely not for everybody. There are definitely people that absolutely hate. I think this is one of those books that either you love it or you hate it. And I liked it. So if you watched my reading vlog, then you saw me absolutely sob. We finished the Powerless trilogy with Fearless, and it makes me want to go back and restart the series and reread it all over again. I absolutely loved this trilogy. This one was my favorite. It gave me all the feels. I cried, I laughed, I loved it. I still have my tabs in here. I loved it. So if you have not heard about Powerless, then you must be living under a rock. But Powerless is the first book in this trilogy. And we follow Peyton and Kai. And we are in this world where a plague has gone through, and it's given some people powers, but some people are born powerless. And they have these trials every so often. I got the Walmart edition. So cute. And Peyton is powerless, and she's having to hide and kind of blend in this society where if you have no powers, you are deleted off the earth. And she ends up being thrown in the king's trials, and we follow the story from there. It is so good. You will laugh, you will cry, you will swoon. I love Kai Azar. The ending, I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. 5 stars if I haven't said it already. Then a book that I have like kept saying I want to read it, but I never put it on TBR. I read it, Under Lock and Key by Lana Ferguson. This book is a paranormal romance, I think, and it's signed. So we are following Lachlan and Kiana, so Under Lock and Key. And Kiana's father has just passed, and she comes to Scotland because that is where her father is from, and she wants to kind of connect with family that she's never met before. So her grandmother and grandfather and everything, she goes to see them. And she ends up meeting Lachlan, who lives on her grandparents' property and is kind of like the farmhand. And he has a secret. And if you don't already know, it is a shifter romance, and he shifts into the Loch Ness Monster. I thought it was going to be cringier than it was. I highly enjoyed this. It really surprised me. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I loved the banter. Like, I loved it. I highly recommend. And then a book I have been putting off, but I read it. We finished the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy, and it was a really good ending to the series. I cried. I swooned. There were points in the book where I was like, I'm bored. I don't care about this POV. I love the found family in this series. If you don't know what the series is about, it is a King Midas retelling, and we are following our main character, Auren, and she is completely gilded. She is gold. And in the first book, King Midas keeps her in a cage. And we follow her from there. She is the first book is okay. The rest of the books are great. I love them. I gave this one 4.5 stars. Again, great ending to the series, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend. We read the second book in the Ruinous Love trilogy, which is Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. We are following Lachlan and Lark. And we start off with her in a mess. She has run someone off the road into a lake/pond, and she needs help. This is a marriage of convenience. Definitely grumpy sunshine. He is very grumpy. And I really enjoyed it. She is a singer, like an indie singer-songwriter, and it was really good. It was the first half I was like, meh, not really enjoying it. The second half I was like, okay. The second half is what made me bump it up. So I gave this 4 stars. I did not enjoy it as much as Butcher and Blackbird, but I did enjoy it. So yeah, I'm excited to read the third one and see how this series ends. And then if you were part of my, I don't even know, did I publish that? I don't even know if I published that video. I don't know if I just put it away to archive forever. But I read the Gallows Hill trilogy by Caitlin Taylor. This is a reverse harem. It has bullying, it has betrayal, it has secret societies. We are set at this very elite college that only the very powerful in the country go to. We have arranged marriage. I loved it. I sped through these books. I gave the first 2 4.5 and the third one 4. And I really enjoyed this. I gave they're between 1.5 to 3.5 chili peppers. The spice just increases per book. Yeah, I really like this. I could not put it down. I listened to the audio as well. The audio is duet narration. We are following our main character, Skyla. We're following our main character, Skyla, and she has, until now, has lived in London with her aunt, and she goes back to live with her dad only to find out that she's going to this college. She is in an arranged marriage, and they are all a part of a secret society. It's really good. It's really good. I highly recommend. If you read the book Graves by this author, there are some like little cameos from those characters, so yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I read Eternal Rain by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is a vampire/vampire hunter kind of romance. You are following twins, like in the Zodiac Academy. One twin ends up with a vampire, the other twin ends up with a vampire hunter. And we are living in a society where vampires have kind of taken over and they run everything. And you've got our vampire prince in this. He kind of thinks that the humans are like unappreciative. The vampires kind of give them everything they need, and then they take their blood. And there's this test that happens every so often, and if you pass the test, you are chosen to go and be among some people to be chosen for this thing. I'm not going to go into much detail because I don't want to spoil it, but I gave this 4 stars. There is not a whole lot of spice in this first book. I put 1 chili pepper just because it hinted at it, but it didn't really happen, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm excited to see where this series goes and kind of how it's going to play out with some things, because there are some things in here that I'm like, okay, how is that going to happen, so to speak? All right, we read Kiss of the Basilisk, and this has been everywhere lately. It was previously known as Split or Swallow. It is a very beautiful book, but I enjoyed this. It was very spicy, and we are following our main character Tim, which is short for Temperance, and we are living in a world where the basilisk and the humans had gone to war. And after this war, they've kind of come to an agreement that the basilisk can live in peace as long as every girl that was born the same year as the prince, when he comes of age to find a wife, they must train those girls to kind of like seduce him. So they take these lessons from the basilisk to learn how to do all the things, and we follow them from there. This one surprised me. The first like chapter or two, I was like, okay, this is kind of cringe. I don't know how I like this. I ended up loving it. I gave this 4.5 stars. It really surprised me, and I'm really glad I read it. I really enjoyed it. A book that has taken Book Talk by storm is Bonded by Thorns. This is a reverse harem. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The first book pretty much follows the Beauty and the Beast plot. And then as the story goes, it kind of follows its own plot from there. But we are following our main character, Rosalina. And her father, just like in Beauty and the Beast, goes missing one day. She goes to find him. She stumbles into the Fae world, and she trades her life for his, and we follow them from there. The 4 Fae princes have a curse on them. She is trying to help them break the curse so that, you know, she makes a deal. If I help you break the curse, you'll let me go home. It is very good. I highly recommend. Highly recommend. I gave this 4.5 stars. Then one night I was browsing through Book Talk, and I found another kind of reverse harem fantasy series, and on my Kindle I read Her Vicious Beast The Beginning. This is a prequel novella. It was like 126 pages to kind of introduce the world, and I sped through this in one sitting. It was an easy peasy read, but we are following our main character. I forget her name, and she has, in this world, everyone is an animal shifter. They are animal shifters. You have snake shifters, bear shifters, wolf shifters, dragon shifters. There's a shark shifter, like all kinds of animals. Eagle shifters. Anyway, in this world of animal shifters, she has been, we don't know what kind of shifter she is. She has been told her whole life that she cannot tell anybody. She must remain a secret. She has used her magic to put up, like, I forget what they're called, but to like make sure no one can like scent her, no one can see her like fated mate mark. Like, she has covered up everything to keep herself secret. And we find out that she has 5 fated mates, and she is enlisted by her father to go help one of his friends to heal someone, to heal, you know, what you never find out who it is that she's healing, because she's healing them through a door. But yeah, so we follow the story from there. It is really good. I'm really excited to continue on with the series and kind of see where it goes. Yeah, I highly recommend. I gave it 4 stars, so. And then we read A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. I thought it was a perfect time to read this since the next one is coming out in May. And I sped through this. This is a romantasy based on Norse mythology. And we're following our main character Freya. And once again, we are in this world. Some humans are born with a drop of God's blood. Depending on what God gave them, that drop of blood depends on what power they have. So for example, she is married to a man that his power is like fishing, so he can like just call and like the fish will come without trying. We have a fire hand that can speak fire into their weapon. And Freya's has always wanted to be a warrior, and they become her reality when her husband betrays her, and we follow her from there. I love the romance in this. The ending, I need the second one now so I can figure out what happens next, because that ending, I gave this 4.5 stars. It highly surprised me, and I can't wait to get my hands on the second one. Before we talk about our last book, I'm just going to show you the one DNF I had, and that was Midnight is the Darkest Hour. So I was listening to this on audiobook as I was driving for work, and I didn't care. I didn't care. And so I DNF'd it. They said it's like Where the Crawdad Sings meets Twilight meets Thelma and Louise, and I think the only reason why they said meets Twilight is because there are some Twilight references, because it's the main character's favorite book. But we're set in Louisiana in this very religious town. She is the preacher's daughter, and the preacher kind of runs this town. They have burned books, like any book that is against the Bible or against what they deem holy, they burn it. And we open up with, they find a skull in the swamp, and now it's a murder investigation. There's never been a murder investigation in this town. But yeah, I was listening to the audiobook, and I just found that I didn't care. I didn't care, so I DNF'd it, and I'm going to unhaul it. The last book we read in April was Woven by Gold, which is book 2 in the Beast of the Briar series. I gave this 4.5 stars. We are following the first one where it left off. And it does follow its own plot after the first one. The first one kind of follows the Beauty and the Beast plot, and then this one follows its own plot. And I really enjoyed it. I really, really did. There are some things that I think I know that I hope is true. And I'm excited to carry on with the series. The third book is on my May TBR. This book is going to be like a 7-book series. There are only 4 out right now, so I'm trying to take my time. But they are so good. I've just been blazing through them. So I highly recommend this series. I really do. So that is the, did I say 19 books that I read in the month? Yeah, the 19 books I read in the month of April. And yeah, so what is a book that you read in April? Let me know down below. If you see, like, based on what I read and what I liked, if there's a book you think I would like, let me know. I'm always looking for recommendations. If you haven't already, like and subscribe and join my bookish community. It would make my day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.